recently shared a short about reducing visual clutter in my kitchen, and I got a comment from someone that said, this is really nice looking and all, but it doesn't really seem practical. But I would like to argue that it actually is, and I'm gonna tell you why right now. So let me clarify what I mean by visual clutter, because this is different for everyone. I'm not talking about art on the walls or throw pillows that you keep on your sofa or color in your home. We have a lot of art in my home and we don't shy away from color. I've got a green kitchen and a hot pink living room rug and a wallpapered bathroom. To me, reducing visual clutter, it's getting rid of excess. The piles of mail on the table, the boxes of items from the online order, the collection of shoes at the back door, the random stuff in our junk drawer, making it hard to shut, the excess on the kitchen counters. Because to me, this kind of visual clutter is the stuff that doesn't belong here. And if I go back to my original point about how I argue that reducing visual clutter is, in fact, practical, that is because the reduction of this kind of visual clutter has great benefits. Actually, the very small amount of time it takes to maintain reduced visual clutter creates benefits that far outweigh that time. That's because visual clutter is directly associated with stress, poor sleep, avoidance behaviors like overeating, with procrastination, and with anxiety. It's easy to become clutterblind to the stuff in our home, but the truth is it's actually impacting us without us even realizing it. And this is why I love reducing visual clutter. I think it's a very simple, attainable, practical thing that we can do in so many spaces in our home that can help us feel like we have more control over our home. It creates a more general sense of calm and peace that you can achieve even if you are busy and strapped for time. Okay, now that you have endured my TED Talk on visual clutter, let me share with you a few of my favorite ways to reduce visual clutter in my home that I think make the biggest difference and I think are practical. Number one, I love removing packaging. Here's the thing, 90% of packaging is bulky and it's not actually effective for storing. It's designed to be on store shelves, for shipping, and for marketing, right? With bold, bright colors that want you to that try to entice you to buy it. They don't stack or store well. The boxes and bags fall apart. It makes it hard to see when you're running low on something. Basically, packaging is just that, it's packaging. It's not designed for storing. I remove packaging from everything and everywhere when I can. It makes storing more cohesive and easy, and it actually frees up space and reduces extra noise. Number two, get into the habit of clearing off flat surfaces. If you are a regular subscriber, you are probably absolutely exhausted of hearing me say this, but gosh darn it guys, it works. It is the most effective thing you can do in terms of large return. When I am feeling a little overwhelmed by a space or I want to squeeze in a quick home tidy that gives me the biggest bang for my buck, I just focus on my flat surfaces. 90% of the stuff on our flat surfaces at all times don't actually belong there. Things just end up laying out. Set a 5-minute alarm a few times throughout your day and just clear off those surfaces and put that stuff back where it goes. And you will see what a big impact that 5 minutes can make. Next, limit knick-knack decor. So I don't want to spend too long on this one because I'm not a minimalist and I'm not against some knick-knack decor, but I think that we should be intentional about it. Try to focus on pieces that actually mean something to you and not just some random thing you got at Home Goods because it was on sale, or maybe something you used to care about but you don't anymore. And now it just kind of sits around on a shelf taking up space. Make your flat surface home decor purposeful, practical, or important to you. Next, create drop stations. Identify the few places in your home where visual clutter seems to always accumulate. Look at what is accumulating here and create some simple systems to help tackle those. Recognize that these spaces usually get cluttered often because they are used and added to often. So for example, the back door of our house is where my kids come in and out multiple times a day, right? Either from school with bags and shoes and paperwork, or we're coming in from errands with, bags of stuff we got. And the counter in our kitchen is where things like mail, paperwork, sunglasses, keys, packages, and that kind of stuff accumulates. So for the back door, we created a shoe and jacket spot. Our home doesn't have a coat closet, so I used the built-ins that we have here to create sort of like a makeshift shoe coat closet. And then I also hung a ton of hooks down our basement stairs, which is right off the kitchen, for bags and lunch boxes so they have a designated place they go. For the kitchen counter, again, I created some go-to hooks for these items, as well as drop bins in our cabinets and drawers for things like keys and sunglasses. It's about giving designated homes to these items that constantly end up on counters. And remember to stay aware of what this stuff is. Is this stuff that really needs to live here? Organized clutter is still clutter. Hide wires and cords. It can make a nice space just feel yucky, but unfortunately, they are practical to everyday life, so learn how to conceal them. Next up is labels. Here's the thing about labels. In theory, they might seem pointless. Like, do we really need to label things in our own home? Like, we live here, we don't really need to be told where the stuff goes, but I will argue that yes, you actually might, because not one person can remember where every little item goes, and even if you do, the labels still create a shortcut for you. Instead of having to take the second to say, what bin does this go in, it's literally labeled for you right there. And I know this doesn't seem like a big deal, but the truth is, the extra step of thinking which bin does this go in actually creates a lot more work and takes more time than you might realize. Labels just create shortcuts for your brain. They're like little helpers saying, hi, I know you're tired and burnt out, let me help you, this goes here. Second, I found that they're extremely helpful for other members of the home. I'm the organizer in my home. I like to organize. I'm the person who organizes. And I'm not gonna expect my husband is just gonna like read my mind and know where I want things to go. But if things are labeled, it's easier for him to find things, to put things back where they go. And same for visitors, right? When my mom comes to visit or my in-laws are in town, it's surprising how helpful and useful having labels around your own home are. And ultimately, what they lead to is more things going back where they belong, which at the end of the day is the biggest goal of reducing visual clutter. Next up, don't use your fridge to display things. When we got a new fridge, at first I was a little disappointed because it wasn't magnetic. I was like, where the heck am I supposed to like stick those papers that I need to mail and this bill that I need to pay? But it actually turned out to be a little bit of a blessing in disguise. Because if you're like me, your kitchen is hands down the room with the most visual clutter on a daily basis, because we are cooking and working in there a lot. So I have found it's actually one of the most beneficial places to keep clutter free, since it's doing its own job of getting cluttered on a daily basis. It really doesn't need any help, including having a clear and clean fridge. This brings me to my next suggestion, which also has to do with the kitchen, and that's to consider storing appliances away. I actually only keep one appliance out on my kitchen counter, and that's my toaster oven. Everything else is stored away. Even if I use them daily, like my air fryer, my blender, my kitchen scale, even if these items, I know I'm going to be using them again tomorrow or even later that day, I still store them away when I'm done, because I find that 40 seconds of placing them down in the cupboard is worth it for the look of a cleared off counter. I really focus on my counters being for working, not storing. Okay, the last point I want to make is yes, flat surfaces includes your floors. Occasionally when I share my tips about clearing flat surfaces off, I will get comments from people who are like, it's not my flat surfaces that are the problem, it's my floors. Honey, your floors are a flat surface. Well, I tend to focus on the eye level flat surfaces first. Absolutely, floors are the next flat surface. They are not designed to be the holder of things. So when tending to your flat surfaces, don't neglect those floors. They should be cleared off as well. All right, my friends, that does it. That is some of my best tips for reducing visual clutter in the home in a way that I think is practical and attainable. I hope that even if you implement only one of these, it will help your space feel a little more clutter-free and a little more calming and peaceful. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Remember to be kind to yourself and to others, and I will see you all in my next video.